Good morning, everyone. Tracy here from Red Wind Studio in the beautiful village of St. Jacobs. I thought today, before I open the shop, I would give you a little demonstration on how I paint chairs. You know, there's been I've had customers say that chairs are a pain and they're tedious to do because of all the rungs on them. They can be, absolutely. They are a little bit more time consuming than some other pieces of furniture, but over the years of painting them, I've learned a couple of tricks to make the job go by a little bit faster and to give a better finish. So I'm obviously don't have time to paint the entire chair, but I'm going to do little bits and pieces of it to show you some of the tricks that I've learned just from experience and trying different things. So again, of course, I always wet my brush ahead of time, squish it out, and give it a good shake to get rid of any excess water. This particular chair that I'm working on is for a client, and she has asked that it be painted in our beautiful, vibrant Caribbean blue. So first thing I'm going to do is I always flip the chair upside down and start with the underside parts. So there really isn't any trick to any of this part, but just the fact of flipping it over so that you make sure that you get all of these spots. I've had customers bring in pieces that have been previously done by other people. They're tired of the finish, or for whatever reason they want me to redo it for them, and I've flipped the pieces over, and the bottoms of the rungs, like on this part, aren't painted at all. This, I can't see that. This part under here isn't painted. Now you certainly don't need to do the underside of the seat. I usually go by however, whatever was finished by the original maker. That's usually what I wind up painting and refinishing. And typically, whether it's factory made or it was a craftsman that made the piece, those areas are always finished. The underside of the chair, the underside of, and the backside of dressers and stuff aren't done. The insides of the dressers aren't done. So don't waste your paint doing those parts, but certainly any part that has been refinished, make sure that that's done. So this part, you just want to make sure, because it's hard to just paint, and again, you can't see that. It's hard to paint just this part in here without getting it over the edge. So the trick to that, so that you don't get it gobby, is to use a very little amount of paint and make sure that you run your brush along the edge so that you don't get a buildup of paint and it almost looks like a little roll there. To do the underside of your rungs here, again, they're not the easiest thing to paint. So how I do it, I'm going to turn the chair around a little bit here. Make sure it's not going to fall off the table. There we go. So you don't want to be flicking your brush. You can certainly go fast, but you want to go back and forth this way so that you're getting all the paint all over the rung and get it in all of these spaces. So by doing it this way first, you get good coverage, and then just quickly run your brush lightly, very lightly. Don't apply too much pressure. So you can see my bristles aren't bending too much, and that helps smooth it out, and there's not an awful lot of brush strokes that you'll see once it's all finished off. Now I'm going to flip this back up. I also, while the chair is upside down, I usually do just this part of the leg. At least this part. You can certainly do all of it while it's upside down, but at least this part get done. Now, and again, best way for you guys to see this. Okay. So, again, for the rungs, because these are really skinny, the size of the brush, you can't see me here, the size of the brush is very important. You don't want to use a big wide brush when you're doing a little tiny narrow piece like this. So 1 inch is all that you need to do this type of spindle. And again, I'm going like this, but I'm not flicking it, because if I flick it back and forth, you're going to wind up spraying paint all over the place, and you don't want that. You might have another piece over there. Maybe you're doing this in your living room. You don't want to get paint on other things. So just, and you can make pretty short work of it doing it this way, and then nice long strokes. And this will also make sure that you don't have drips or runs. That's the last thing you want. Again, around like this. Nice long strokes. Just like that. If you're going to wind up putting a clear coat of polyurethane, again, the same technique. And then I come around to this side and I do the same thing. And if I go back and forth, I'm not going like this and flicking the brush. I'm gently pulling my paintbrush across so as not to flick the paint. And again, one of the, I'm going to move this so that I don't look like I'm in jail here. There. One of the other tricky areas is down at the base of the chair. I'm going to have to turn it back around. Down here, where the spindle meets the chair seat. Around in this area, quite often, the paint, it's hard to get it smooth in this area. It gets quite gobby. The trick to avoiding that, let me see if I've got a chair that has that. I do. Just 1 second. Sorry. It's a little dusty because I've been doing some sanding in here. Sorry, I'm jiggling everything around. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this around. I don't know whether or not you're gonna be able to see that, but in here, you can see a lot of brush strokes, and we want to try and diminish that. And it's not easy. You have to take your time, but there is a bit of a trick to it. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Oh, there's some things on the screen here. Let me take a look. Jessie, hi Jessie. This is Caribbean Blue that I'm working with, and Cindy's waving. Hi ladies. Okay, so when you're going to go around the rungs on a chair, turn this around at an angle and tip it up so that you can see what I'm doing here. So you don't want to use too much paint. You want to be fairly light with your paint, and you want to sort of dab it in and go from behind. Little short strokes. And then get a little bit more paint on your brush and do nice long strokes so that you don't get that staggering build up here. So a little bit of paint, then dip in and get more and pull it all the way through. Get lots of paint on. This one's missing a rung here, so it was broken off, so I filled that just to clean it up a bit for the client. Again, so paint, get most of the paint down here. You have less paint for up here. Bring it through, get the paint on there. Now see, if I left it like that, I don't know if you can see, but you can see the brush strokes and it's staggered, so you just want to lightly pull that all out right from the back of the chair all the way through. And that's another reason, oops, that you want to use a small brush so that you can get in there. And just, if you gob it a little bit, which is always going to happen on your rungs, just make sure that you smooth it out so you don't have a gob and you don't have to try and sand that smooth area out. And then again, nice long strokes and not too much pressure. So that's a few tips on how to work with a chair, especially one with lots of rungs. It is a little bit more time consuming, but you'll get a really nice finish. It'll be nice and smooth for you if you follow some of these tips. And if I wasn't really clear, you don't understand something, please ask. Let me see here. Do you need to sand the chair first? Hi Joanne, yes, I always do a light sanding on the chair first. Usually a 220 grit sandpaper is sufficient. Clean off any of the dust left behind and then paint it. This chair is going to be intended for outside, so once I have it all painted, I'll be putting an exterior Varathane on it. It's actually for a friend of mine in business. She's going to be using it to put her sign on it for outside. So yes, an exterior polyurethane for afterwards. And then hi Brenda. Okay, so any questions, any more questions in regards to painting a chair and how to get a nice finish on it? No? Okay, so some of you joined me a little bit late. I will be posting this onto Facebook once we wrap it up, so you'll be able to watch it from the beginning. But I'll just quickly recap as to what I went through. I always start with the chair upside down and get any parts underneath painted first. Along underneath this part, there we go, this part, get that painted, a little bit of paint, and then just quickly run your brush along the outside edge so that you don't get that little roll of paint. Smooth that out. Do the stretchers on the bottom of the chair. Those are the parts that run between the legs. So get the underside of those done. You want to make sure that everything is done really nice. Anything that was finished by the original manufacturer, that's the parts that you want to finish as well. Don't cheap out and don't do the bottom parts thinking that people aren't going to see them. Get those done as well. And then the rungs, make sure that you're gently going back and forth this way, and then run your brush down to smooth everything out and make sure that you don't have any runs. Again, for the seat, in between the rungs so that you don't get brush marks and weird buildup in between, which can be difficult. Nice long strokes. Get most of the paint smeared here on the seat first, then bring it back, and so you have a little bit of paint, and get it around the rungs, then nice long strokes to smooth it all out. Once that's all done and the whole chair is painted, then I'll go over it with sandpaper, clean it up a little bit, get rid of any little lumps or bumps, smooth it out, and then either a clear coat or a wax to finish it off. And you'll have a really nice painted chair. So that is going to be it for today. Let me just check the screen, make sure there isn't anything else. And I'm going to sign off, and you guys have a great Sunday. And if you're in the area, pop into the studio. We're open here in the Village of St. Jacobs from 12 till 5 today. Have a great day. Bye.